Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Ask Amity Show. As always, this is Jennifer, and I'm here with Cindy. So today we'd like to talk about a submission that we had from our client, with a question as to, which one would control. If you have a TOD deed, which is the transfer on death deed, and a living trust, which one would be the binding document? So in general, the one that would take precedence would be the last recorded document. So whatever is the most recent before death, generally that would be the one that would be controlling. And one thing to also keep in mind is, for a transfer on death deed, there are certain limitations and restrictions that you really need to just understand fully before you take that route. So again, a transfer on death deed is when you add a beneficiary on your title of the property to name that beneficiary as the one who's going to inherit your property upon your passing. So the TOD deed is only applicable to certain types of real property. So first, if you have a single family home or a condo, the TOD deed can be done for those type of properties. Or if you have a single family residence on an agricultural property of 40 acres or less, or if you have a multi-family residence with no more than 4 units. So the TOD deed is only applicable to those type of properties. And then, to fully really understand before you proceed is that there are certain restrictions that you have to, keep in mind when you're doing a TOD deed. So first and foremost, it has to be signed and dated before a notary to be valid. And then it also has to be recorded within 60 days from the date that it's signed and notarized. And then you also have to keep in mind is that when you designate a beneficiary, it has to be an individual. So you can't say, to all my siblings or to all my children. So you have to designate the specific individual that you want inheriting your property. So those are certain things that you really need to keep in mind. And also, it has to go with the statute. So currently, this law is only valid throughout this year. So it will sunset January of 2022. So if you want to do this TOD deed, keep in mind of these restrictions. Keep in mind that the law will sunset after this year. So those are certain things that you want to, at least fully understand before you proceed with a TOD deed. And Cindy, maybe you can touch upon, what remedies clients can have if they want to make sure that, they still be able to add beneficiaries, but not have these certain restrictions.
Yeah, so as Jennifer said, a transfer on death deed in California is pretty restrictive, but there are solutions. So a really good solution is a living trust, a revocable living trust. In a revocable living trust, you don't have this restriction of only applying to a single family home or a condominium. It could be really any real estate. You don't have a restriction that it must be 4 units or less if it's a multifamily. So in a living trust, you could essentially give away and, list any property to give away to your beneficiaries. Also in a living trust, you can list as many beneficiaries as you'd like. You can list a class of beneficiaries like all my siblings or my children, as opposed to a transfer on death deed where you have to list a single individual. So a living trust is a lot more flexible, and it gives you a lot more options to plan for your family. And it doesn't, and it also not only covers real property, it also covers any assets. So for example, financial accounts. So a TOD only covers that property that you're trying to record and give away to or leave for your children. But a living trust, you can actually add other assets like a checking account, a savings account, or 401k, retirement accounts, anything, or life insurance even. So it's a lot more flexible. It's much more open, and it's always You can always amend it because it's a revocable living trust. So yeah, a living trust is another way to leave assets, but it allows you a lot more flexibility than the transfer on death deed. So if you have a question about transfer on death deeds or revocable living trust, give us a call at Amity Law Group, and we'll be more than happy to speak to you. So that's it. See you then.